turtleneck, so we'll make it work.
We're ready when you are. Okay.
Welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Oh, sorry.
Stop.
Are we ready? Or?
I'm good. I got the thumbs up.
Oh, okay.
Welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals for the town of Webster for February 11th, 2025. Before we move further, if there's going to be any public comment, we are going to limit public comment to 5 minutes. We have one item on our agenda today. I have the proof of publication here for that item. With that, I'll call for attendance.
Mr. Short,
Here.
Mrs. Bolo. Here. Mr. Spampanato,
Here.
Mr. Santola.
Here.
Mr. Ottuso,
Here.
Ms. Corsi. Here. Mr. DeMarco.
Here. Would you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. See with that, move on to our first item. Yep. Read it in.
Yep. So the agenda item this evening is for Publisher Parkway, applicant Matt McAlpin, representing agents Mike Ritchie from Cossack Engineering and Matt McAlpin from McAlpin Industries. Zoning district is the OP Core Area North Office Park. The requesting a building size larger than what is permitted associated with the construction of a multi-phase development totaling 300,000 square feet, with the first phase totaling 120 square feet, where the maximum allowed is 45,000 square feet. And the proposal is the construction of a 300,000 square foot manufacturing warehouse. Phase 1 includes the construction of a 120,000 square foot building.
And then just to add a little bit of context and get it on the record, as you all know, any development within the OP district requires a referral from the town board. So this project was initially presented at a town board workshop on December 5th of 2024. The town board that same night did approve a resolution to refer it to the planning board for the purpose of site plan review, and the project and the applicants appeared before the planning board last month, the January 7th meeting, for sketch plan review, which brings it to tonight's application before this board.
Finally, the relevant sections of the town ordinance. 350-21C1, light manufacturing, enclosed warehouse for wholesale use, public utility, enclosed industrial process and service. The maximum building size is 45,000 square feet. And with that, we'll turn it over to the applicants.
Great, thank you. So good evening, thanks for having us. So just want to do a quick introduction of our team and who we are before we get started. I promise to keep that under 2 minutes. My name is Matt McAlpin. I'm the president, CEO, and owner of McAlpin Industries. With me tonight we have our CFO, Darla Lacey, and our recently retired CFO, Mark Lockerbie, and now consultant, and our partners at Cossack Engineering, Mike Ritchie. So McAlpin Industries, we're a contract precision sheet metal fabrication house. So when you think of sheet metal components, we bring in material, we cut it, we form it, we insert hardware, we manually weld it, we robotically weld it, we paint it, and we assemble it. And our parts go into a lot of different assemblies that you may have exposure to in your day-to-day lives, but we don't have any product that we can necessarily point to, so we're business to business. So whether you've ridden in a hybrid bus, a high-speed train, used a self-kiosk at a store, ordered something online, the way that that product gets to a warehouse, to your front door, we have a lot of automation components in that. We do some medical parts, parts that go into data centers, HVAC systems, that sort of thing. The company was started in 1964 by my grandfather. He was on the family dairy farm here in Webster, and long story short, he decided to open up his own tool and die shop in '64. So we've come a long ways, and in fact, this Friday we'll be celebrating our 61st. Our company has a strong culture. We're very proud of that. We work very hard at that every day. We are also a veteran-owned company, and we're very excited to partner up on this project in Webster. It's been a long time coming. We've been looking for a good place to expand our business for going on 2 years now. We had a couple of things we were working on that didn't work out, but this property wiggled loose, and we're excited to be here. So it's important for us to get this variance, being over 45,000 square feet in an office park. We believe that this building, it really fits the area. There's a couple buildings right next door adjacent to the property that are larger than 45,000 square feet. In fact, one's almost 400,000, I believe. Another one's 160,000. And again, we're really excited to be here. We take a lot of pride in what we do. We like to say we do things the right way. And part of that is being part of your community. And we've already started to reach out to our neighbors. We're talking to Mirror Show Management. We're going to go speak with them next week. We even started talking to some of the neighbors to understand what their concerns are. And everything's been going pretty well so far. A lot of strong support from the community, a lot of support from the town board so far. Really appreciate that. So again, just really excited to be here and appreciate the support. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike. We can answer any questions on the variance we're seeking approval for.
Thank you. Mike Ritchie, Costage Engineering. And again, we did submit an application requesting an area variance for the approval of a 300,000 square foot manufacturing warehouse where code permits 45,000 square feet. I'd be happy to go through the standard criteria if you wish, but that was submitted as part of the application.
I'll ask the board, I'm good, I read through it, I thought it was all good, is anybody? No?
So just, another item, we have submitted to the planning board for special use and site plan review, and we're anticipating going to the March meeting. So we'd be happy to answer any of the questions the board may have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. With that, I guess, questions from the board? So phase one is 120,000 square feet. It's primarily to the south of the property. Phase 2 and 3, those will end up expanding north. I didn't see how much of a buffer between Publishers Parkway and the northernmost tree buffer ultimately are you proposing?
I don't know the exact distance, but that northern rectangle, if you will, is I think 4.5 to 5 acres.
Okay.
But you have that?
Yeah, I don't know if we have the exact dimension. It's roughly 300 feet to the north there.
Plus or minus. That's my scale? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact dimension from the edge of disturbance for the final build out to the top, but that northern portion is 743 feet, and we're halfway into it. So yeah, it's approximately, 300, 350 feet to Publishers with no disturbance at all.
With the right of trees, essentially.
Right, of trees, of
Yeah.
existing woods to remain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
Are those going to be listed to remain on your plans, or?
Yeah, they're listed on the grading plan to remain, like the proposed clearing limits is all shown on the grading plan, but yeah.
Access is only going to be through Park, correct? That's what's proposed, nothing
Correct.
onto Publishers.
But yeah, there's no, we had gone, initially had discussed potentially having a second access off of Publishers, but I think it's not really warranted, especially, as Matt can attest to, it being a shift type operation. Most of the first shift is there before anybody uses the road, so that access off Hard Road will primarily be, unused for most of the time that employees are showing up to work. And quite honestly, I think you had mentioned 3, maybe in the first phase, 3 to 6 truck trips per day. So really there's not a lot of truck traffic proposed. We are proposing a minor radius increase on the existing driveway on Hard Road just to make sure that any trucks coming in will have no problem entering. But with that, there really didn't seem to be much of a need to put in 1,000 foot of extra road And I think the big part too is the traffic pattern for people coming and leaving. Everybody's gonna be getting off 104 and turning right into the site. Not many people would be coming from maybe 5 Mile Line and over, so it seemed a little bit redundant.
The original plan had 2 access points, but the more we looked at it, knowing the traffic on Publishers, there's no sense in having any additional traffic cutting through there, especially when school gets out, or, you know. So we decided a month ago to get rid of that access point.
And they did have a traffic study completed for this, just to ensure that there wouldn't be any conflicts with that driveway at Hard Road. And the conclusion of the report stated that, you know, no changes to that driveway or Hard Road itself would be needed, even at full build out.
So that report went all the way through full build out?
Yep, it went all the way through full build out, yep.
You indicated, correct me, I think you said 3 to 4 trucks a day, is that?
Yeah, about 3, first phase, about 3 trucks a day.
And at full
On
build
average.
out?
Sorry?
And at full build out?
At full build out, it's hard to say, I would say 6 to 7 on average.
And when we say trucks, are we talking 18-wheelers, or are we talking
Yeah,
18-wheelers?
yeah.
And phase 2 is the headquarters, how many employees, I guess not factory workers, or how many
Yeah,
employees?
so, I mean, phase 2 and 3 are hypothetical at this point. You know, the need right now to grow the business is we need to put up 120,000 square feet, and that's gonna be all operations. We wanted to make sure that if we were going to move in this space, that we have the opportunity to expand if and when we need to, and have that flexibility in the future. And one of the thoughts was, do we have, you know, headquarters there, do we have office staff there? And if that is the case, that's a total of 115 jobs that would be in phase 2 additional. And of those 115, I would say about 60 are office staff. Does that sound right, Carl? About 60 would be office staff.
They stagger shifts and everything?
Yep.
Operation?
Yeah, we run 2 shifts right now. First shift a little bit heavier than second shift.
What are those hours?
First shift starts at 6 a.m., with some of them starting a little before that.
Second shift ending,
Second shift, 1 a.m.
gotcha. So there will be traffic leaving second shift.
Yeah, it's a pretty
early
light
morning,
shift.
late night, however you want to say it.
Yeah, phase 1, I think there would be about 20 of our associates that would work on second shift.
Gotcha.
And you're consolidating both the Hollenbeck and the Nesseton facility?
No.
in this?
No.
Oh, so
No.
this is an
This
additional?
is, the first phase is all growth.
Okay. Do you plan on bringing those in eventually, or?
You know, one thing in our business, it's always changing. In fact, we just changed some things last month, so.
Okay.
I'm certainly open to what the future may hold, but as of right now, we need the 120 for growth and expansion. As things evolve over the next 2, 5, 10 years, there's a possibility of consolidation, but at this point, our primary focus is expanding the company and getting that space to do that.
Other questions from the board?
Just further down the line, for signage, you got, obviously U of R sign is already there. Are you planning to,
Yeah,
or adjacent to it on the other side?
We started talking about, we haven't been able to get in touch with that facility just yet, but one thing we do want to discuss with them is something better with the sign, because there's some residents in that area that people pull into their driveways thinking that they're going to the U of R building, and obviously that's bothersome to the residents. So we would like to work with them and put a new sign up that'd be a little bit more easier to identify where to go. I mean, one thing we talked about, we haven't brought it to the town yet, but maybe that road needs to be called something else, give it a different address, because you plug in the U of R building's address on Hard Road, and now you're pulling into a residence, driveway. So if it's a different street name, and their address is on that road, our address is on that road, it would just be a lot easier when people plug it into their GPS and they'll be able to find their location.
Because right now, you plug in your address, it'll be Publishers Parkway, they'll drive up, and
Yeah,
there'll be a bunch of woods.
exactly.
Question about during construction, because you mentioned one of the neighbors' concerns with people pulling into their residence to go to the U of R. There's also been concerns during construction of that facility, of dust and constant construction. Is there any mitigation means that you would be proposing during construction to minimize dust, dirt on the roads, et cetera?
Yeah, we've heard some concerns. In fact, we started talking to some of the residents, and Mark Lockerbie here, if you want to come up, he's had most of the conversations. But I think the advantage or the benefit of this location compared to the U of R building is we're not adjacent to the residence property, right? So any dust that's in the air, I mean, we're over 800 feet away from the early stages of construction. But it turns out the biggest concern we've heard from residents is not necessarily the dust, it's the geese. and I joke about it, but Mark started to become an expert on how to keep geese out of your retention pond. But you've had some conversations with some of our upcoming neighbors. You want to expand on that a little bit?
So I met with 3 of the residents that back up to the URMC's parking lot. Also spoke with MSM, Vice President of Operations there. We also spoke with the resident that attended one of the prior meetings. So we've got a good understanding of concerns, and my questions were related to what things can we improve on from what you experienced maybe before, plus or minus. And key things, one was geese, and so I've got a number of scenarios. MSM has utilized a scenario, worked many different things to try and improve that, and got some scenarios that have worked for them. There's also some guaranteed solutions, one being solar, where you have lighting set up that really deters geese from the area. There's a couple more that we're exploring, and we're going to be working on those. That was number one. What you mentioned relative to the dust, we have a lot of things that. So there's 2 things associated with that. One was sometimes the backup of the trucks going into the site. We think we can alleviate that in multiple different ways. Again, exploring a lot of different ways, but traffic coming from the north instead of all the coming from the south would be another means that we'll be exploring. Plus, got a couple other ideas I want to develop a little further. And the dust part of it, I don't know if I passed that picture, 2 pictures.
Yeah, so we have worked with our builder to understand some of the things they would do to mitigate some of the concerns.
So they're working on this is,
I don't know if you guys would like to pass this around, but this is Letchworth Park. So you can imagine the concern of being in the state park and having construction in the middle there as well. So we're going to work with them to figure out what's the best way to adopt that philosophy with this builder.
so first and foremost, they developed a construction entrance, again, and staging area, and getting all that set up in advance. And then they started clearing the site to the trees and such. And do cuts and fills as needed to start. They do these retention ponds, put those in place. And again, that helps a lot, and there's some runoff that's been experienced by some of the neighbors. That'll alleviate that and prohibit that. Also, putting stone for the parking and building, and then all done in advance, will also alleviate some of the dust. Also putting the green areas, putting the dirt and seeding, those would also alleviate the dust, and also the runoff, and alleviate the runoff. And rough grading the retention ponds again, for the runoff, and also for as you're doing the building site. if there's any water that needs to be extracted, can be pushed towards those retention ponds.
So I mean, it's, you guys are looking at ways of mitigating that during construction.
Yes,
You know, by no means, there's a plethora of means to be able to be used, but you guys are exploring it to be able to mitigate those.
Yes,
Those
yes.
concerns of the residents in the area.
yes,
Okay.
And SWIFT inspections will be needed on this.
Yep.
There will be weekly, if not bi-weekly inspections, and obviously if there are any site conditions that need to be remedied, whether it be dust or erosion or anything else, it'll be noted to the owner, to the contractor, and to the town.
Yeah, we'll hear about it.
Yeah.
And then you'll hear about it.
And I think we've noticed too, the dust really is kind of like a June, July, August type issue. You know, you don't see it as much in the wet weather, and I think the thing, hopefully, if the schedule works out, a lot of the, mass earthwork, rough grading can be done, springish, early summer, and get stabilization. And that's really what cuts down on the dust. If you can get those bare earth areas seeded and get grass to grow, it goes away. And then you had mentioned a stabilized construction entrance. We've seen sites where contractors bring in a street sweeper, or even, hose down, maybe the existing portion of the access road to make sure you're not tracking anything out onto Harbor Road. So, we see that pretty regularly and understand it's a concern that people wouldn't want dust all over their car.
I've also left a card with all the neighbors and my cell phone number. We built another site out in Walworth, and that worked out extremely well. So hopefully I get to call before anyone else does, and
Appreciate that.
before you think about it.
If they do the job you believe they're going to do, you have more than enough distance from the edge of the existing road to the actual construction. So without seeing the grading plan or the erosion control plan, I'm assuming that the construction entrance is right behind the existing.
Correct. Yeah.
So, you need to just have a couple, potentially extra feet of gravel, and that'll diminish
Knock off a lot.
a lot of the stuff that you're bringing off site before you even get to road, before you get to publish the property.
Other questions from the board? Vern?
No,
Now I'm going to turn to, if anybody that wants to speak for or against this project. Come on up. So, just a reminder, you have 5 minutes. Name, address, and then your concerns.
My name's Dave Malecki. I live in West Webster, off of Gravel Road. I request there be a connection to the 104 trail through this property that enables easy, safe, active mobility transportation to the neighboring U of R medical facility. If that's achieved, I support this area variance.
Thank you. With that, turn it back over to any other questions or comments from, thank you. We did receive one comment online.
Yeah, sure. This is from David Naka, who resides at 893 Hart Road. Apparently, Mr. Naka attempted to speak at the planning board meeting, but for whatever the reason was, he was unable to speak at that time. So he provided Mr. Artuso the following. There was a neighbor apparently at the planning board meeting that expressed a concern with respect to the road access to Publishers Parkway. And the applicant at that time said it was not their intent to have a road existing entering from there, only keeping the Howard Road a single road access, which I think is consistent with what was represented tonight. Apparently the resident was also living on Harbor Road directly in front of the U of R building that went up, observing that it was pure chaos and hell with the constant construction vehicles developing the land during the approximately year and a half that the construction took place. The level of noise and dirt was intolerable. It was airborne from all directions. on both Mr. Naka's property and on Hart Road. The concern that the speaker that Mr. Naka has is that because, in his opinion, it's a three-phase project, and that the construction could in fact be 3 times longer than what it took to construct the U of R building. School traffic was a concern. The start of school, the end of the school day, in an hour or so during special events. Concerned with apparently the use or the construction during those periods. He was on to indicate that most of the rest of the year, Publishers Parkway is otherwise a ghost road. Wants to make sure the construction vehicles are notified to avoid those hours. He's recommending that the access road coming off of Publishers Parkway, which is not the case, but if it were to be the case, that it be immediately constructed before any land and building development, so as not to place all the focus on Hart Road. He goes on to indicate that he's not opposed to the McAlpin building there, but very concerned about the size, the amount of employees, the delivery via 18-wheelers, and those trucks having an access on the unnamed road onto Hart Road only, in addition to construction phases, which will be, in his opinion, years long. He also advised the planning board of these same concerns.
Thank you.
One comment on duration.
I need you to speak into the mic. Sorry, all the technology, we'll just pick it up there.
The inspection for, we have a similar building, this is 120,000 square foot building that we built 9 years ago. And from initial shovel in the ground to it was complete with actually equipment moved in was 7 months. We're in end of September, early October, so it won't be an extended duration like that. Same contractor, same group working on it.
Quick question as a follow-up to that and to a comment. 3 phases, but as we discussed here tonight, phase 1 is the immediate phase that is necessary. Phase 2 and 3 are not necessarily planned, but it was developed for future growth. In your best estimation, how long before phase 2 or phase 3 actually gets constructed, knowing that the economy is different, now we have new tariffs and everything else going on. So it's really a shot in the dark, but best estimation.
I can erase that.
Best estimation, phase 2, 5 years. Phase 3, maybe 10 years from now.
Okay, perfect.
You all already own the property, or it's contingent on these approvals?
We do not own the property yet.
There's a pending contract
Yes.
contingent on anything other than the approvals that you're seeking from the township?
Don't believe so.
And all said and done, the phases that are in the application, that's about, it looks like about 30% of the coverage of the property.
The building, yeah, the building's about 30%. The total lot coverage, building and impervious areas, is just under 50% of the lot.
Based on your calculations, I think it's 48%.
Yeah, yep.
And just out of curiosity, from the front end off of Publishers, they're gonna kind of have a wooded look with
Yeah,
or everything's loaded to the back end, if you will, or the south end of the property.
I think if you were on Publishers, you probably wouldn't notice it.
You're not gonna see the building.
With that, I'll bring it back to the board. Any other questions from the board?
The only thing I had is, since it's accessed off Harbor Road, even though the lot is fronted on publishers and has a publisher's address, are you going to change, make it easier for people to find? Because as Mr. Short said, if your address is Publishers Parkway, you're not going to have any clue how to get there.
Agreed, and we'll work with the town clerk, they're usually who deal with addresses, and whether it's possible to rename that private drive, just to make it more specific, or not. I think if it would, based on how I saw the tax parcels and the orderly development of addresses, it would get a hard road address, just because it does actually have, currently, it's kind of a flag lot, the pole portion does touch hard. So I think if it were to stay, if it were to be renamed as a new private road, I believe it would have a hard road address.
Thank you.
Do you anticipate, we've got the shift employee traffic and delivery and shipment of goods. Do you anticipate having a lot of customer visits as well, or?
Not in our industry. We do have customer visits. If I had to take a guess, it would maybe 10 a year, let's say. At the most.
Okay.
At the most.
All right.
Yeah. We don't have any walk-in traffic or anything like that.
Right.
It's,
But it would definitely be less customer traffic than Calvary, which is somewhat larger in size, very similar operations, but much more integral working with the customer.
All right. With that, move to vote on seeker. I make a motion for type 2 action under seeker pursuant to NYCRR section 617.5 of the environmental code.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So you want to go through values? Okay.
I was ready to do that.
All right, the essential character of the neighborhood will not change. There are several other similar businesses or similar size complexes in the area. You've got Calvary Robotics, which does much of the same work in a larger building. You've got the sports complex in between. Inertial management also is manufacturing to some degree. The benefit cannot be achieved by any other method. The 300 square foot building is the maximum that the applicant is requesting based on projections of growth of the business, even though it's going to be in 3 phases. But given the size of the lot and the location of the building, I don't think it will look any more out of place than the Calvary building or the other Publishers Park. The request is substantial in that 45,000 square feet is permitted by code, but it's certainly not out of character or less substantial given the other buildings in the area and other buildings within office park districts within town that have been in this hub of activity and hub of office park. The proposed variance will not have any adverse physical or environmental conditions on the neighborhood. There will be a slight increase in traffic, but nothing that's out of the ordinary for that type of work. The light will be mitigated, dust and dirt will be mitigated during construction, and it's far enough from any of the residents on Hard Road that I do not think that light or noise is going to be an issue. The difficulty is self-created in that the owner does require a larger building than what's allowed, but there are really no properties in Webster that would meet the criteria of the size of the building that are currently available. Anything else that I have missed?
Yeah, I just want to add that from Publishers Parkway, the building and construction is set far enough back that anybody on Publishers Parkway will most likely never know that the facility is there. And similarly from Hard Road, the facility is set far enough that off the has no or limited visual impact to any of the surroundings.
Well, this is phase one.
And phase 1, 2, and 3. This phase 3 is still about 8,
Oh, so the phase two, right down the driveway, you see.
yeah, sure, down the
I'm
driveway.
being picky, but.
Yeah, understood. Anything else? No?
With that, if you would like, I could make a motion.
Yeah, please.
I would make a motion to grant an area variance for McAlpin Industries located at 875 Publishers Parkway, excuse me, to allow a 300,000 square foot building where 45,000 square feet is permitted on a 25.65 acre parcel having SBL number 079.06-1-32.123, located in an OP core area north office park district under section 350-21C1 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Second.
Mrs. Bola?
Aye.
Mr. Santola?
Aye.
Mr. Spagnano?
Aye.
Mr. Short?
Aye. You have your variance. You have 1 year, 1 year to complete the project. You need to obtain all building permits and all the regulations, so good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy to have you guys move into the town. Yeah, welcome to Webster. Thank you.
Thank you.
No minutes? No minutes this time. Okay. With that, motion to end the meeting. Is there
There's certain timeframes. I'll see you first thing in the morning.